Key Glock dropped Glockaveli this year with no features, no warnings, and a handful of Tupac shoutouts. His album stacks streams without anyone else on the track list. His fans call him the King of Memphis. His critics call him delusional. He was tight with fellow Memphis rapper Young Dolph, who called him family. But a hail of bullets took out Dolph while he was buying cookies. A Retaliation hit came a few years later. But was Glock involved? Nobody has been charged, and Glock has kept rapping, kept touring, kept smiling, but the streets and the internet still talk. This is Key Glock's story. The rise, the blood, the silence, and the moves nobody says out loud. Key Glock grew up in South Memphis under a roof held together by women. His mother, Tamika Cathy, went to prison when he was still a baby.
My mama left, well, she didn't leave me. She went to jail for 16 years when I was only 13 months. And she didn't get out until my senior year.
Wow.
So,
growing up with his mom in jail had a heavy impact on Glock, and he remembers going to see her in different prisons she was locked up in across the country over the first 15 years of his life.
they used to just us to different cities, to different states. So I was already young, just traveling like to Minnesota, Tallahassee, West Virginia, like that, just to see my mama. It was normal because I've been going to jail ever since I was like 1 year old. Me and my grandmama going to this building far away to go see my mom. And I couldn't wait for this.
His grandmother and aunt kept him steady. Glock learned how to navigate the city on his own before he hit middle school. Music hit first. Gucci Mane, Lil Wayne, 3 6 Mafia, and Project Pat knocked through his headphones. Glock memorized Project Pat tracks like scripture. He freestyled in parking lots and recorded his first track over DJ Drama's Ain't No Way Around It. But he had his share of legal troubles. In March 2016, when he was 18, Key Glock was arrested after a shooting at the Ice Bar and Grill in Memphis. 3 people, 2 women, and 1 man were injured by shrapnel from gunfire inside the club. Glock was accused of opening fire during the incident. An arrest warrant was issued under his legal name, Markevius Cathy. He was picked up and charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault, served 90 days, and stayed moving. In 2017, Young Dolph, his mentor and fellow Memphis rapper, signed him to his record label, Paper Route Empire. Dolph told people Glock was next. Glock dropped Glock Season the same year and flooded Memphis with a raw voice, blunt hooks, and no features. The beats stayed heavy. The attitude stayed heavy. Glock rapped like each line came straight off his chest. In 2018, he dropped Glaucoma. In 2020, he dropped Yellow Tape. No guest features, no verses borrowed. Glock built the catalog on his own voice. Every release tightened his grip on Memphis. Every tape moved bigger than the last. Fast forward to 2025, Glockaveli dropped. Once again, it had no other rappers featured on it. It's all Glock.
So, you what, 6 or 8 albums in? I'm not too sure what it is now. But still no features.
Yeah, whatever it is, no features though.
So why is that? Like, I think we interviewed you after the first couple, and you was like, man, I'm just trying to prove myself. So why so far into the game that you still don't have any features on your projects?
Because, y'all really don't just know what be going on behind closed doors.
The title is a nod to Tupac's album, Machiavelli. Glock tattooed Tupac's face on his body. He called Pac one of the realest to do it.
I asked for Pac just an inspiration to me overall, just music, lifestyle, I just fuck with Pac and everything he represented. And that's how Glockaveli came about. It came from Machiavelli. And that was one of my favorite tapes from him.
Fans started trolling him online, posting memes, calling him delusional. Glock never explained himself. He never posted think pieces. He just dropped more music. Streams stacked up. Videos clocked millions. Glock carved himself into Memphis without asking for permission. Pressure never left. Glock just kept dragging it through the booth. Key Glock's biggest stamp came from Young Dolph. Young Dolph made Key Glock a centerpiece of Paper Route Empire. Glock was family through marriage, tied through relatives, but built tighter through loyalty and music. Dolph brought Glock on tours, stacked them side by side in music videos, and stamped his name into the next generation of Memphis rap.
Yo, it's your kid, Young Dolph, and I got Glizz up right here with me. You know what I mean? Shout out to Montreal. That's my little cousin, slash my little brother, slash you play with him and shoot you in your face.
They moved through studios, strip malls, and jewelry spots like Family, locked by choice. Dolph played quarterback, Glock played demolition crew. Every tape Glock dropped ran back through Dolph's vision before it touched the streets. In 2019, they dropped a collaborative album, Dumb and Dumber, which hit number 8 on the Billboard Top 200. It was the first time either rapper had broken into the top 10. On November 17, 2021, Young Dolph stepped into Makita's homemade butter cookies on Airways Boulevard in Memphis. Two men pulled up in a white Mercedes and fired through the windows. Dolph dropped inside the store. He never made it back out. The city shook. Glock posted a single broken heart emoji and stayed offline. The shooters left in the white Benz. Police found it days later outside an abandoned house tied to Hernandez Govan, another name floating in street conversations for years. Justin Johnson, known locally as Straight Drop, was charged first. Cornelius Smith followed. Phone records showed Johnson's location near the shop when the shots went off. Records also showed Johnson and Smith communicating with Big Jook, the brother of Yo Gotti, right before and right after Dolph hit the ground. Prosecutors later said Johnson had been invited to Atlanta by Big Jook and Hernandez Govan, with promises of getting signed to CMG, Yo Gotti's label. Jook allegedly offered the hit on Dolph as part of the deal, and you can see from Johnson's Instagram that he was trying to make it as a rapper, and front big like one too. Court records pinned Johnson's travel between Memphis and Atlanta in the days before and after Dolph fell. Smith later testified the whole thing was a $100,000 contract, $50,000 each, with a slice owed to Govan. Smith said Jook orchestrated the setup. Prosecutors backed it with cell tower pings, surveillance footage, and witness testimony tying Johnson to the getaway car. Johnson was found guilty of conspiracy and sentenced to life behind bars in September 2024. Govan's charges are still moving through court. And it turns out Jook put prices on the heads of several Paper Route Empire members, and the price for Key Glock's head was allegedly $50,000. The internet responded with a Protect Key Glock at All Costs campaign, with fans writing things like, "Man, this is about to start more beef in Memphis, very disturbing and disgusting to say the least, and Gotti better hire an army." Glock's posts stayed brief, his interviews stayed rare. A year later, he broke his silence.
Is this the first time that you've done an interview since he passed?
Yeah.
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 I'm just wondering how you feeling, how you holding up. I mean, obviously, something that's...
I'm content. I'm all right.
When you say content, what does that mean? Like,
I'm maintaining. Like, I'm not getting better. I'm not getting worse. I'm just here right now.
But the streets didn't forget. And 3 years later, another body dropped in Memphis. On January 13th, 2024, Big Jook walked out of Perignon's restaurant and event center on Winchester Road in East Memphis. A white Ford Explorer with dark-tinted windows pulled up outside. Gunshots followed. Jook and another man were both hit. Jook was rushed to the hospital and pronounced dead. The other man survived. Memphis police released surveillance footage of the SUV within 24 hours. The vehicle had black wheels and no plates. No suspects were named, and no arrests would be made. The shooting took place just after a funeral reception for a relative of Big Jook's named Eric Boven. Boven had a reputation in Memphis going back to the 1980s, when he ran cocaine operations, and was known as the head of the Boven family. He was also a former partner of Yo Gotti and Big Jook's aunt. The crowd outside Perignon's was tight with family and old associates. Security footage showed chaos in the parking lot. Jook's final Instagram post, made the day before the shooting, read, "They don't want to face you, they want to snake you. Stay alert to stay alive. Watch your back at all times. Put snakes on a plate and eat great." The caption circled online after the hit. His death followed months of courtroom testimony connecting him directly to the Young Dolph case. Prosecutors in Justin Johnson's trial alleged that Jook offered the $100,000 contract to take Dolph out in 2021. Johnson was convicted in September 2024. Govan's trial is scheduled for July. CMG declined to comment. Yo Gotti never made a statement. The restaurant where Jook was hit sits off a busy road lined with clubs, small shops, and event spaces. Memphis police say the case is still open. The streets don't expect it to close. Funeral security included bodyguards, bulletproof trucks, and blocked sidewalks. Nobody came forward. Nobody answered questions. Memphis moved on. Key Glock never gave interviews about street politics. He kept his head down through court dates, indictments, funerals, and blog rumors. He stayed posting tour dates, album drops, merch releases. When Big Jook dropped in that restaurant parking lot, Glock posted nothing. No tribute. No headline. Just silence. No arrests ever touched Glock. No warrants landed on Paper Route Empire. No public connections tied Glock to the parking lot where Jook dropped. A few months after Big Jook's hit, Glock dropped the single Big Big Money, where he rapped, "Heard you with the cops, I just sit back, watch and plot." Is it a reference to snitches involved in the Dolph case? A reference to plotting the retaliatory hit on Jook? The truth is, we don't know. Key Glock mentioned Dolph in the song Proud, part of a tribute album to the late great Memphis rapper, where he raps, "I lost my dog, I lost my mind. No lie, I'm really lost inside. I got Dolph looking down on me, I know he's proud." But other than that, Glock stayed pretty silent when it comes to references to Dolph or the later hit on Big Jook, and maybe there's a good reason for this. You see, there have been a lot of rappers who have incriminated themselves through their lyrics. It's been an ongoing debate about whether lyrics can be used in court against artists. It's a problem that stems from the early days of hip-hop.
A lot of this is our fault. Why? And the reason it's our fault is because so many rappers from our generation in the 1900s were lying their ass off. And it made a bunch of kids think the way to get in the game was to be the biggest criminal alive. And guess what? You know, you can't do that. Okay? You can't be the biggest criminal alive and be a rapper at the same time. But it's our fault because we should have never let rappers lie like that for entertainment. All right? Because if it's just art, then we have to demand that some of these people change the content of their art, because all it's doing is getting a bunch of people indicted and influencing a generation of kids wrong.
That's right.
Period.
But let's be fair. Key Glock could just be grieving, just want to stay silent about the loss of his friend and mentor. Had nothing to do with the retaliatory hit on Big Jook. He comes off completely likable in interviews sometimes.
What is your drive? If it's not money, what is it?
It's my family, really. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
That's all I really care about. I don't care about materials and stuff no more.
Oh.
Like I done grew out of all this stuff.
Yet there are the allegations of domestic abuse by his partner. He made an Instagram live of him getting arrested for drug possession in 2024.
You're just gonna get a ticket for the weed, okay?
That's understood.
I get the ticket for the weed.
You?
Yeah.
No, he gets the ticket for the weed.
I don't do that. I don't do what they
You
do,
got
bro.
the tickets?
They won't even buy damn one. Don't worry about it. That shit.
Memphis insiders whispered the same thing. Glock kept his circle so tight it barely needed security. No leaks, no slips, no careless phones or loose talkers. Paper Route Empire stayed sealed after Dolph. Glock kept it moving like business hours never ended. The police kept their press releases empty. Reporters kept their questions shallow. Nobody wrote essays about it because nobody wanted to catch the wrong name slipping out their mouth. Speculation wrapped tighter as the months passed. Blogs started saying Glock didn't have to pull a trigger or send a text. Some said the streets moved themselves, settling debts written in blood before Glock could even finish recording Glockaveli. Some said Glock knew and approved. Some said Glock stayed clean because he never needed to nod once. Nobody from Paper Route Empire confirmed anything. Glock never denied anything. Key Glock built his name off solo tapes and Memphis streets that raised him. Young Dolph signed him to Paper Route Empire in 2017 and called him family. They toured together, stacked mixtapes together, and moved like blood through the city. After Dolph dropped in 2021, Glock stayed out of interviews and kept dropping music. Glaucoma 2 and Glockaveli kept the catalog alive. The message was simple: stay moving, stay silent, stay loyal. Glock didn't use Dolph's name for attention. He didn't chase headlines about street politics. In Memphis, survival comes from knowing when to speak and when to move.